All right. Hey, thanks for tuning in for today's stream. Yesterday I was working on PHP 8 compatibility testing for Drupal with PHPStan and noticed that not all of the backwards incompatible changes are detected. So I went and I made a list, and this morning I ported that list over to an issue for PHPStan and created several examples. So today I'm actually going to work on contributing to PHPStan to write some of these. Now, it's been a while since I've contributed to PHPStan. Since then, the main repository is a compiled output, and the source code is over here. This is where all the development happens. The other one is the distribution. So it's time I need to figure out how to get cracking on this and, what's the word? Contribute. So the documentation, PHPStan Pro, it's all here. So let's go ahead and skip that. Let's go to CD. I got a directory of PHP product or PHP projects. Oh, looks like I already have PHPStan source here. Let's do a poll. Did I just do a? Oh, I did a hard. Let's see. I'm gonna do a remove. I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna fork it really quick. So let's fork this. I've already forked it. Fetch the upstream. I've never used the fetch and merge in the UI, but I'm so glad that that GitHub has finally added it because it just makes life so much easier. So let's clone this and go back to my CLI. Do GitHub PR or GitHub repo clone. The nice part about this clone is it's going to clone down my fork and set the upstream. So if I go to PHPStan source and I do git remote v, we'll see that my origin is here. I don't know why it doesn't set the origin to be SSH. Git remote set URL origin to the SSH. Here we go. Oop. So if I do git remote v, so we've got my origin and the upstream. So this way I can do a git fetch on upstream and be able to rebase and do a rebase upstream master. So that way I can keep things up to date and in sync. So the next step, we got that, is to start working on one of these rules. Actually, no, follow the docs. So code. So building PHPStan source code is developed on 7.4. The distribution is transformed to run on 7.1 and higher. Additionally, you need to run a composer install or composer update in case you aren't working in a directory which was built before. Afterwards, you can run the whole build using make, running a development version to analyze PHPStan by PHPStan itself, run that. Code styles, running tests, debugging. All right, so I guess the first step is to do a composer. So is there a lock file? Yep, so composer install. And let that get configured up and do let's open this in PHPStorm. Oh, that's huge. Let me shrink that down. There we go. Nope. All right. So let this index real quick. Kind of curious about, I saw it had patches. Okay, so it uses this patching library, not the one provided by Cameron, that the Drupal community often uses. interesting. So it goes in here. Oh, you have to annotate your patch. That's why. All right. So yeah, that definitely would be hard to use in the Drupal setup, where we usually have to specify the project and we can't modify the patch very easily. All right, so we got this. Let's make a new branch to start. So get new branch. Or rather, let's see. Let's run through. So we don't want to build it. You can choose run only part of the build to analyze PHPStan itself. Fix. Let's run make tests. Just want to see if I can run this. So make file. Test runs pair test. Linting. All right. So I guess this is easy enough to just, there's not too much to start on, but now I just need to pick one of these. So let's see, I need to figure out what would be a good one to start on. There's a handful of these. I think one thing that would be good is to check on instances of create function. So create function is how you used to create anonymous functions, and it has been removed in PHP 8. So if we go to this playground sample, we'll see that in PHP 8, it throws an error that create function is not found, but we have no errors in 7.4. So if we look at PHP, create function, see it's been deprecated as of PHP 7.2 and removed in 8.0. So this is something that should be removed. That when running in PHP 8 should be removed. PHPStan doesn't handle deprecations directly. There is a deprecations library that it uses. But the thing is that did not come up. So the quote unquote problem here, I guess not necessarily problem, is that this only works by finding things that are tagged as deprecated. So fetch deprecated constant. So we have the, oh, here we go. I guess actually this does handle some things. So we're gonna have to follow versions like this. If PHP version ID is greater than X, Y, and Z, it's been deprecated. Let's look at deprecated function, called a deprecated function rule. I guess we would need to add this here. Maybe we'd have to add it to this library. I'm not entirely sure. But since it has some deprecated constants, maybe that is where we need to have it. But for PHP 8, yes, I'll write it here. And if it needs to be moved over, then we'll move it over. I'm going to take that approach. So let's go ahead and write a rule for this. I'm going to do, so let's make a new branch, create function, removed, prefix it with PHP 8. So let's see how we can write a test. So not autoloaded, PHPStan, rules, functions. All right, so here's all the different rules and the data that it runs with. Existing error. So let's go ahead and test this out. Oh, cool. So we can point to different PHP versions, PHP version ID. All right. So let's go ahead and create a new data. Let's say new file. We'll call it create function. We'll call it call create function.php. Let's add it. Look at this call to weird functions. Call to array unique. So we'll call it call to create function rather. And we can just use that. I want to find if they have an example. Here we go. Just copy the example. So we have a call to create function, and we'll want to make a test for that. So call to function statement without side effects. Let's go to call to non-existent function rule test. That's one that in PHP 8, I think we should give a warning. That's something that was removed. Or I guess we don't nearly say anything for PHP 8. I guess I would like to have a better function name here. So let's do this. So call to non-existent function rule. Let's see this test rule. Protected function test empty file. Non-existent nested function. So let's go ahead and match expressions. Call the incorrect case name. Where's an easy one? Call the non-existent function. All right, let's call this. Let's do call to create function. And let's analyze. Are we able to... Somewhere we were able to specify. I'll have to see how it specified the PHP version ID. I swear I was just in here and it showed it. Here it is. So this just skipped it because it requires PHP version 8. Let's just go create, call to create function. I guess we could have this one just skip if it's not PHP 8. We do this analyze. Files, strictly typed. This get analyzed or analyzed. Let's get analyzed. Let's see. I want to see if there's a way I can configure, because you're able to configure PHPStan to unset cast rule. You can tell PHPStan to use a specific PHP version. So this data rule, test rule, PHP version, this PHP version. Ah, okay, no. Oh, this get rule on cast. Call to non-existent function rule. I see. So what we would need to do is shoot. The rule would need to receive the PHP version. and check if it supports class constant on expression. Or maybe not. We wouldn't need to have that in there. This is going to take me a minute to get acclimated real quick. PHP version ID. Let's just check in source rules if nothing's using it there. Result cache manager attribute. Oh, so maybe that's why. So if I check inside of source for PHP version ID, project, those are into stubs. And then in test, it's all in the test. So I'm guessing it must only, okay. So we have to pass it like the, where'd it go? Constant, damn it. No, I lost it. Let's do the 8,000 unset cast rule. Okay, here we go. So we need the rule to receive the PHP version. So we'll copy, we'll set all this up. And the goal will be to have, we won't need that. We'll say this PHP version, or rather, yeah, we'll just start there. So this PHP version equals 8.0. This PHP version and we'll add it as a third parameter. I'm going to do some copy and paste. Properties only written, but never read. Yep. All right, so let's see where this is used in here. So this just checks has named, supports named arguments. I want to see what is all available in this class. Oh, get version ID. Great. Get version string. Supports no coalescence. Supports throw expression. Yeah, these are all 8. So we'll just check if. So call the non-existent function. Let's run this test. There's no default interpreter because I toggled back from between PHP 8 and 7. So let me go through, refresh that, apply, run it. All right. I'm just curious to see what even gets returned from running this. Because it should invoke, we should set the PHP version to 8 and then call this get rule. There is no error returned, which is not what I expected. All right. So it's set to 8. This analyze called a non-existent function. I guess let's drop a breakpoint here. And I'm going to debug. And we'll see how this goes through. One thing I'll also need to do. Okay, so we're here. This. We have the PHP version. 8. So I guess this is where PHP 8 would fail. If has function, reflection provider. So the reflection provider isn't respecting PHP 8. Because it's saying that this exists. So that's interesting. Get function. I'm going to hit stop. And I know I need to fix one thing. In conf 0. Arguments. I think it will automatically determine. Yeah, it'll automatically inject the PHP version. So one thing, so if it doesn't have the version, function not found. So I guess let's start there. Or this might go deeper than I think. So let's debug. Because the reflection provider should be aware that it no longer exists. So it has function and memoized in reflection provider. This provider, the chain provider, provider class blacklist. This reflection provider, resolve function name. Name is create function. Exist callback. Return name. So that returns true. And then it goes through. So chain reflection. Then this reflection provider. I don't even know where we ended up, so I need to rerun that. Step in, has function. This provider has function. This reflection, runtime, resolve function name. I'm gonna go in here. Step in. Resolve name, we have the callback. So there's the name. Namespace, exist callback. Okay, so now we're in the callback. So does function exist? That makes sense. If this PHP storm stub source stubber is present function, lowercase name, this function map. Search for create function. So it's there in the stub because it isn't removed because it exists. So file path function node. So this gives us the stub file, so it knows how to do a reflection from PHP parser. Statements, attribute group, attributes, special class names, parts, JetBrains, PHPStorm deprecated. So it's not showing up as deprecated. That's one problem. So let's stop this debugger. So one thing could be the fact that the JetBrains stubs need to be updated. So if we go here, stubs core, removed. Oh, why is it? Oh, because that's in box. No. Here we go. So that is interesting. There's actually a deprecated trait in the JetBrains stubs. So maybe that's one thing that we need to do. So I just saw this in the PHPStorm stubs. I think we'll need to update. Don't need the full link. The PHPStan deprecation rules to read this deprecated attribute. So maybe this one won't be as easy as I thought. Well, I don't think any of these will be easy. Let's comment. So that maybe we can catch the deprecation there, but what I think we could catch is call to non-existent function. So what I'll do is I'm actually going to brew unlink. I'm going to get back to PHP 8 so I can verify this. And I'll need to update. Do a refresh. So if I run the debugger again for this, we're on PHP 8, so the function won't exist. So exist is false. Return false, return null. Has is false. Continue. Provider. Actually, that'd be interesting. So this providers is either class blacklist or better reflection. Turn false. So new error type, resolve types, blah, blah, blah. Results, sys. Shoot. Need to drop all my breakpoints. Or is this the only? So you want to check this. So basically, I just want to provide a better error than function not found. So it's more explicit about why it's been removed. So I'm going to do a debugger. All right, so we hit here. We can say if this PHP version, get version ID. I want to see if anything is calling this. Great. So let's just copy this. Signature map provider. Whole bunch of things in there. Because if I can at least get this started, then I can get some direction on the proper way to implement any of this stuff. So if it's greater than 8 and node name this isn't the prettiest thing, but it gets the conversation started. So we can split the workflows out, so we don't need that there. So let's go call the create function. To see what the actual error message is. Let's see. Words are hard. So we can say create function. We don't need to do discover symbols. We can say blah, blah, blah. So create function. Not found. Let's see. Let me just copy this. And what's the error? What does this say? Use anonymous functions instead. We'll try that out. And I guess we'll need to take this call here and make the same call that if we're on lesson PHP 8, don't run. I guess all these other tests would fail if we don't specify one. So yeah, everything such as default to something reasonable. Set that to be the version ID. And let's run it. Fails certain the two strings are identical. There we go. So what is this other argument? Expected errors. Array map. I don't know. 3. There's no learn more. And we're expecting it to say this text. That create function not found. All right, there we go. So that gives a better error message than just not found. But it makes me think that we might need to work on here. So let's add support reading the deprecated attribute from PHPStorm stubs. PHPStorm is documenting deprecated core functions using an attribute. Or maybe it does it pick that up? Call the deprecated function rule. Let's read. Name broker get function is deprecated. Yes. So the broker, what is the broker? From PHPStan. The function is deprecated. So maybe we can test it in here. Oh yeah, so we can test it in here. Perfect. So we have this rule. Let's skip over. So basically, we need to make sure that PHPStan is flagging it deprecated. So broker get function, which if we go back to our rule, functions, non-existent function rule. It's calling it from the provider though, and not the broker, which the broker does. Okay, it goes through the chain. Let's go through better reflection. Resolve function name. Native function reflection. Function map has function signature. Find function doc. So this finds the signature for it. Resolve PHP doc, it throws doc. Native reflection. So I don't think it is. File name, document comment, resolve PHP doc. Side effects is deprecated. Oh, wait. So a native function isn't marked deprecated at all. This reflection is deprecated. I'm curious to see if we can get this to run. So let's go back. So I'm going to go brew unlink. I'm going to go back to PHP 7 and see if I can get this to be flagged as deprecated. All right, so that's up to date. I'm going to run the debugger. That was a run. Let's debug it. I need to stop there. And I'll comment this up because we want it to run. I'm going to put it to do. The reflection provider doesn't respect PHP version to determine if a function does not exist. So this is a slight problem. The function exists on 7, but not 8. However, running on 7, it is still returned as existing. So there's probably some extra work that has to happen here. The debugger, stop. Right. So we might need to get the function provider. So node function call. The name is create function. So let's just step through again the function provider. So this reflection provider from runtime. So the runtime should be getting it from the native reflection, which we see is true. Then you step into that exist callback. So function exists, or so we need to do function exists provides a false positive if testing higher language level. So that's one thing. So let's see. Let's do this. Function exists. And we'll do, so we have function exists. And we'll do native function reflection equals that one. And exists will be function exists and native function reflection. So that'll be the idea here, is to update this callback to see if the function exists and is in the native function reflection, because function exists will pass if function exists for PHP 7 but was removed in PHP 8. So that's the idea, is that we will split up these checks because we never look up the native runtime reflection. So true. So they both exist. So if exists, stubber is if the function is present. So I'm going to actually stop. I'm going to go here. Let's step into this. So the native runtime reflection provider self function map is empty. So reflection function is signature map provider get function signature. T parameters, return type, native return type. So none of this is considering the current, the PHP doc is null. That's expected. Has side effects, is maybe. So reflection function, here we go. Declare namespace, located source, node. We again don't have it as deprecated or not, but here we can see that name reason. We have attributes that say it is removed at removed in 8. We look at attributes, the name. Oh, here we go. Name, JetBrains, PHP Storm deprecated. I'm going to add this to I did work on this checks to see if things are deprecated, but I can't remember where I did that. I think it may have been in the doc parser library, but this isn't in the doc parser. So file name resolved PHP doc, nodes. Yeah, so where does it say if it's deprecated or not? Oh, this function reflection, native function reflection. right? This says that it is never deprecated when it can be. So that's a bug right there. So I'm going to open a bug, new issue, bug report. Does not allow identifying core functions as being deprecated. I'll link this one. While working on blah, I realized that deprecated core functions were not being flagged, like create function, which was deprecated in 7.2 and removed in 8.0.0. Say 8.0. Create function. I would expect PHPStan deprecation rules to flag and identify this. However, native function reflection hard codes is deprecated to always be no. These values can be parsed via the PHPStorm stubs, which are documented using PHP attributes now. So let's go find that stub. Well, stub I have over here. And I can upload the image again. Let's preview it. So bug report while working on that. So that's kind of a blocker, but not entirely a blocker. Because we can't flag this as we can at least work on having a better PHP 8 error and then figuring out how to get that flagged in PHP 7 as being deprecated. So what I'm going to do is back out of here a bit. I'm going to review the changes I made. So I want to keep that, call the non-existent function rule. We're checking the PHP version and the create name. I'm even going to make a comment here. To do this feels a bit hacky. Maybe we need a repository of functions that are removed based on version level. Like where's the signature mapping? Namespaces, that's rules. Type, nope. Type, analyze code exception, reflection, provider, runtime, PHP. So, nope. Better reflection, maybe it's under here. Source stubber, source locator, process, nope. PHP, nope. Parser. Broker, well, somewhere in here, it had a mapping. Oh, function signature, signature map, reflection signature map. Okay. Reflection, signature map, function signature, parser, PHP 8. Meh, I don't know. So I'm just gonna commit this as is. Not actually, because I need that to be there. And I'll link. See there. All right. So this is why I always review my diffs. So use PHP version. Pass it in. Call the non-existent function rule. Checks the version. There. Let me run this entire file to make sure I didn't break anything extra. All right, things are passing. So provide better. Let's see. Is there a commit structure and PHPStan source? Fix stub types for SPL. Update. Improve PHP 8. Friendlier error message for approved error message for removed. I can never type a short commit message, and I applaud anybody who can. PHP 8 specific removed create function error. We'll go for that. I'm going to push. And I'll create a pull request. GitHub PR create, which should be the base repository used for querying issues for this directory, PHPStan. Let's edit the body. Part of blah. This handles an improved error message when running on PHP 8 to explain why the function no longer exists. All right, so now I should have my first pull request up. Probably not going to run. Oh, okay, I'm a contributor, so it did run. Wish we could edit to help fix the link to the issue. All right, so that's kind of started. I'm going to update this. So where is create function? Each create function. Links, we have that issue. And we have this pull request. All right, so those two are there. This should be a lot easier, actually. Is the third argument to define may longer be true. So before, when you defined a constant, you could allow it to be camel case and then say that it's case insensitive. Let's go PHPV. Let's do brute unlink. I want to get back to regular old good old PHP, and I want to see what happens when we do the following. So PHP R, let's define. Oh, case sensitive argument is ignored since it's no longer supported and no longer supported. Okay, so it throws an error. So let's go ahead and get back to a main branch. Check out master, get new branch, PHP 8, define case insensitive. So I feel like these are already handled in a few areas. So let's go to that reflection out of rules, or I guess tests, test. PHPStan rules, functions, arrow function, existing classes, function attribute rule, parameters, param attributes. Somewhere there should be a, is it under reflection? Source locator, stubber, no, PHP. Nope. Let's see if I can find an example. This one isn't it. Oh, great, this failed. Where did it fail? Linting, figured. Array key exists. I think this one has a good error that I can search for. Parameter number. Okay, here we go. Random int parameters rule. All right, so let's go. We're in rules functions. We want to check tests. I want to find where this is being tested in tests. That's JSON, call to function parameters rule. All right. Existing function definition. Test with incorrect parameters, incorrect call to parameters definition. Foo. Test call to function with correct parameters, with optional, dynamic, nullable. Call to weird. Else. Let's call to array unique. Well, let's do this. Test call to define case insensitive. Let's do call to define. And where's our sample code? Which we should see. What's Oh, that'll be the next part, is we'll need to my brain so fried. Here we go. Parameter 2, or rather we need to skip this if it's not PHP 8. Where were we at for that? I don't know how people can, or like, I give props to people who can contribute to this nonstop, because my brain is like hurting just under this part. Test implode on 7.4, less than on 7.4 is nullable. Here we go. We'll copy this, go to where I was editing. So if PHP version is this, I guess that's a horrible message. There's plenty more that I can copy from. Test requires PHP 8. Good enough. All right, let's actually call the proper file. Call to define. Let's run it. I'm on PHP 8, so search strings are equal. Nothing. So that means call to function parameter rules, parameters check, rule level helper, PHP version ID is 8. It automatically goes to 8. Goodness. All right, so we've got a test that's failing. That should be passing, because we know that there's signature map, function signature map, parameters. Oh, it's got template in here. Parameter signature, function signature map provider. Let's see here, parameters signature. If we get function signature, signature map, function map. Here we go. Copied over from PHPStan blob. Fan. Oh, from fan. Oh my goodness. Well, here we go. Delta. So this contains new section, contains function method names from blah that do not exist in 7.4 or have different signatures in PHP 8. Okay, great. So that's all that's missing here. So we just copy define, and we delete case sensitive, maybe. I feel like that's not good enough. Old. What's old? Old, they're different in 7.4. Functions are expected to be removed only in major releases. They're different in 7.4. Let's write the test. Still not there. Vice versa. All right. Array key. This is driving me nuts. The cat is trying to paw at the screen. Oh, I didn't even realize I had the chat minimized. Thanks for the resub. I have to lock my cat out when I do this because otherwise he is constantly in the middle of the screen, and this is making me lose my mind right here. Why is this not catching? So let's go. So call to function parameter rule, process node. Let's just debug this. That didn't even run. Oops, I need to refresh that. So, all right. So the node function call, what is the name of the node? It should be define, and we need to throw an error because this is an invalid property. So we've got the function, reflection, native function reflection, variance. Shoot, is that why? Because we have to get optional true, passed by reference. Invoked with D parameters. Oh no. Parameter 1 is passed by reference. Missing parameter, unknown parameter. Shit. So we need to create a new variant, I bet, of this. All right. So I don't need to stop there. Step in. Cry. Has is true. Turn true. Okay, provider. So the provider is this one, which always returns everything. Runtime reflection, function name, everything with runtime is just not supporting. So native runtime, there's no variance, which means that again, I have to stop there and reload. So let's step in. Signature map provider has function signature, lowercase. Yes, it does. Lower name, define. PHP stub maps. Oh, here we go. And it froze. Define in here? I hope so. Define DEF. Yes. Stubs then defined. So that said, if it doesn't exist in the stubs map, variance is greater than 0. How do we get variance is greater than 0? Turn true. Get function signature, class name 0. All right. Again, variant 0. So what is, variant 1? All right. So let's see. Has get signature map. Let's find define. A lot of stuff in here. So constant name value. So here we go. So the variant is greater than 0. The name is there. Define 1. Oh, do I have to make return has function signature is 0. Stub file. And then here's the nodes from that. Function nodes. Params. Okay. That's why. Let's see here. So that's the stub maps and the vendor. Let's go PHP 8 signatures, signature map provider, get signature map, function map. Get env1. Okay, so we gotta do define delta. All right, I think that'll do it then. I think so. Let's go here. Debug it. So it's null, signature map, required it. We've got define. Here it has the case insensitive bool. If PHP version is greater than 7.4, we're going to compute. It's greater than 8. We get the delta, which is the delta. New, we have define 1. Let's compute the signature map. What does this do for each old? I need to move it from old to new. So from there, it's a new, wait, shoot. Yep, I had it in the right spot. Drop another breakpoint there. All right, signature map. Step over. Compute it. Jump, signature map, define. Why didn't it add my stuff? For each delta, new. As key signature, string to lower equals that. So signature map, oh, because it's probably at, it's going to be at the, there we go. It's going to be at the very bottom because it got appended. So here we go. Great. There we go. All right. As function signature name. Step over that. Signature map. So reflection function parameters still came up with the same crap. Oh, wait. Maybe it's has function signature. Let's see, parameters 3. There isn't 3 parameters. All right. So variance, maybe I just need to, I'm just going to play it. Kidding me? Debug it again. So go here. This function signature should have case insensitivity removed. Step through. If it has a function signature, yes, get the signature. So step in, function name is define. Wait a second. If variant is greater than 0, oh wait. There's where it gets weird. All right, step down. So has function signature. Variant is 0. True. So get function signature. Showing lower, variant 0. Okay, if there's one variant, function name. Oh, well, that looks like a bug. Let's change this to be 1. All right, real quick, let's look at annotate. This is from fix signatures with multiple variants on PHP 8. So if it has 1, why would we pass that same variant number? Because it would have been caught here if it was greater than 0, and we want to get 1. So let's try this out. Where am I at? All right. So name, I don't know where I am anymore. Ah, there we go. So I'm going to open a bug for that. Or rather, I'm going to, all right. Let's see. So we added that variant. And this should be a separate bug fix in my opinion, but that's fine enough to leave there. What's the error that returned? Wait, no. Run it. Function define invoked with 3 parameters, 1 and 2 required. That's not actually the error. But say do the wrong error, but not sure where to set it. Deprecated parameter. Let's see if is ignored is anywhere in the code base. It's not, but that's good enough for me. So let's see. PHP 8 signature map for define. Say case insensitive is ignored. All right, so let's push that. I'm going to have to annotate that pull request. But this will at least get the ball rolling for Andre to look at things when he wakes up over on the Eastern European side. So GitHub PR create. All right, so let's review this. Link the issue so that way they match up. This seems like a bug to me. Previously, we check variant greater than 0 and pass that variant value. But I have a feeling maybe more things will break if we do that. Let's get back to that file. variant is greater than 0. Something seems odd here. But I just realized this may have broken passing a variant passing equals 0. Well, we'll see how spectacularly that explodes. This might relate to the fix needed for array key exists, where it's not so much about a parameter missing, but becoming deprecated or changing. Toss this up for feedback. All right, my brain's melted. Let's see. I didn't break a lot of stuff. I just fixed two things are failing. Test on 7.4 with Windows, great. And linting, Windows ruins everything. Cannot decode levels test case. Oh, that looks like I didn't break that. There must be one line before closing class. All right, I'm gonna leave it at that. Got 2 things started out of this giant list, and gonna enjoy Friday. All right, see everybody.